morning. This is the Georgia Doty Report. I'm Crystal Williams, a health and parenting educator and a board member of the Georgia Doty Foundation. Today is our second show, and we first would like to thank you for joining us on CAN TV Channel 21. The Doty Report is a live, interactive show that we discuss health topics and give resources for you to receive in your communities. We welcome your calls with questions and comments. The number is placed at the bottom of your screen at 312-738-1060. I would like to share a little information about the Doty Foundation. We are a nonprofit organization that brings health awareness into communities to promote education to everyone, but primarily to veterans and senior citizens. Focused primarily originally on HIV and hepatitis C, but now we have expanded and we promote health topics of all different ranges. Today we have our guest speaker, and her name is Miss Barbara Bates. She is a fashion designer, and she's also a breast cancer survivor. Today we're going to be focusing on breast cancer again because of the fact last week we shared mostly on testing, on images and mammograms and things like that. But this time we want to get information that'll help us learn more about actually dealing with the situation and understanding how to overcome it if possible. Ms. Bates, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
And just to give you a little insight on Ms. Bates, you all know her as a fashion designer if you're familiar with her name. But she is also known as the Barbara Bates Foundation. It was started in 1999. And I'd rather let her share more information about that so I won't mess it up.
Thank you. Actually, yes, the Barbara Bates Foundation was formed in 1999. It was formed actually to give prom dresses to inner city girls who were teen moms. Someone had asked me to go and speak at a school because they had learned that I was a teen mom and my business had started growing. And this person called me and said she was really proud of me, of what I've been doing as far as fashion, and she wanted to know, was I the same Barbara Bates that went to the alternative school and had a baby in high school? And I was like, yeah, I am. And she says, well, I went to school with you. I remember you. Want to know if you'd come out and speak to some young girls. So I did that. I went out and I spoke to some young girls over on the west side of Chicago at Bethany Hospital. And during the time that I spoke to them, I was speaking on a subject that was, really it was difficult to me to talk about being a teen mom because it wasn't something I had talked about a whole lot. My son at that time was probably like 13 years old. But as I spoke to them, they started giving me accolades and claps and standing up when I said things like I had graduated from high school early, or the fact that I graduated with honors, and they made me feel really great about myself. So I went there to inspire them, and they actually inspired me and took a weight off of my shoulder. And so I felt like there was something I should do to them. And there were probably about 20 girls in the room, and the youngest was probably 11 years old, and they were all either pregnant or had already had their children. So I thought that what I could do was just say, hey, if I could just tell you to go back to school, graduate, I'll make your prom dress for you. And so
Awesome.
The foundation actually came from that. I actually spoke at a lot of schools after that and didn't start the foundation until probably about 9 years after I had started giving away dresses. And I'm just proud to say that to date, the Barbara Bates Foundation has given away over 500 custom prom dresses and 200 suits to inner city kids that are deserving. Not the best or the brightest all the time, but kids that just need some encouragement, children who I wanted to feel great on a prom night. Their rite of passage should be a wonderful, inspiring night, and I could help them by having them look beautiful no matter what color they were, how much hair they had, what size they were, the things that normally in our community we beat each other down about. So that's how the foundation actually started.
Well, I find that to be very inspirational, and actually you were actually a motivator for them because they saw how far you have come being a teen mom. And that's one thing, that's a big step right there. And then sharing your story, giving them purpose, motivation, letting them know that they can still pursue their dreams and their goals. And the inspiration even with the prom dresses, because we know how funding and things like that. Being a teen mom, they probably didn't have much money as it is, and then trying to find a dress to be beautiful on their prom night. Those all things played a big part in their lives, and I'm sure they looked at you as a mentor.
I'm blessed that I was able to do it.
Well, that's one thing I find is inspirational, because I myself was a teen mom, and I know what it's like and going through that, and I see myself as a mentor as well with what I do with my program. So those type of things do make a difference in encouraging our teen moms, encouraging our students in the school system, because they all need some push and motivation.
So as I said, the foundation actually started out that way, but in 2009 I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And and I had I believe I'm an intelligent woman, but I was not getting mammograms. I didn't believe that I was at risk. I didn't have all of the right information, and it's so important that you have the right information. I thought that white women mostly got breast cancer, that you had to have breast cancer or cancer history in your family. I thought that you had to have big breasts. I mean, I had all this bad information, and so, you know, when I felt doing a self-exam, and actually it wasn't a self-exam, I was just like showering, and I felt the lump. I had it looked at, and you know, on the day that I went to the hospital, then they said, yes, you have breast cancer.
So they found that out on the very same day?
So it was diagnosed the very same day, because I do have some favor with God. I have to tell you that. A friend of mine, her husband worked at Mercy Hospital. He was on staff there. I called her and expressed the fact that I had felt the lump, but I really wasn't concerned about it, but other people were more concerned and said, you should check it out. So I was able to get an appointment right away, get into the hospital, and they did all the diagnostics that day. And if that wasn't a great thing, my pastor, Dr. Horace Smith, is actually an oncologist at Northwestern Hospital, and I told my pastor I had just been diagnosed, and so he said, let's get a second opinion. And so I was able to go over to Northwestern to receive a second opinion, and that's ultimately where I did receive my treatment.
Okay.
I had stage 3 breast cancer.
Stage 3, okay.
Right, and I received a lumpectomy, and then I had to go through chemo and radiation. I knew that it would be devastating, because I know that with chemo that your hair would fall out, so I decided to just go to the barbershop and have my head shaved. I didn't want any more devastation, more than I had already had, because just hearing the diagnosis, I was frozen in time. I was like, how could this be?
Wow.
I'd never even had a toothache before, so for somebody to say the word cancer, and I didn't have education about it, I just figured this would be my demise, that this was how I would leave here with breast cancer. But I just thought, I didn't see this one coming. It made no sense to me. But
so tell me one thing, but being, of course, it was detrimental of saying, just being told you have cancer, but going through with that, you saying you got your head shaved and things, you were sort of being proactive, saying, I know what I'm going to have to go through and expect, so I'm just going to get it out the way, in the sense of that feeling of just getting some of those things out the way ahead of time, because you didn't want to go through that trauma?
That's a little bit of it, but I was having a Job experience at the time.
Oh, okay.
I had a young son, and I never did like that story of Job in the Bible. I was just always thought that's not one of my favorite stories. Who'd want to lose everything, have their body stricken, have their kids die, get new ones? I just didn't think it was a good story. Right. But I was living a Job experience. My youngest son had just been sentenced to a 19-year prison sentence for a nonviolent, low-level drug offense. Oh, wow. And when I told him that we're going to fight this, and that on American soil, I can't believe something like this is happening. We're going to educate people what goes on in our system. That yes, people do wrong, and they should be punished for it, but the punishment, the time, should actually have something to do with the crime that you've committed. And I thought that the sentence was excessive, and so I told my son that I would fight for him. And so the Thursday, my son went away to self-report to a federal prison, and on Saturday is when I felt the lump. And I actually wasn't showering. I was actually laying in the bed, and I was crying, and I was rocking myself, and I felt the lump. And in the shower is when I just started to just really go around and feel it more. And so I had my young son, that was going to be going away. My business was failing because I could not concentrate on my business, knowing that my child was going to be leaving, and then to find out that my health was at risk. I was deep in the throes of being Job. And so I just could not find the words to pray for myself, but I could not find the words to say why me either. And so I didn't say why me. What I did is I just kept moving. So that's why I just kept doing the things that I thought I was supposed to do, like just keep it moving. I couldn't fight for my son right away because I had to fight for myself. So I put his fight on the back burner. And I went through all of my treatment, but I did it, I did it with dignity. I still, I'd go to chemo, I'd leave chemo, and I'd go to work. If I was tired, I'd lay on the floor in the back of my shop and get some rest and then keep it moving again because it was me. I didn't have a significant other, to run my business or to take care of me. So I had to just find the strength within myself. And I found that strength, so.
About how long did it take for the treatment to go through? Like how many years or?
So for my treatment, I received 14 rounds of chemo, and then I had a port in my chest because there was so much treatment, and then I had to have 9 months of something called Herceptin, which is like a liquid chemo. And so it was about probably like a year and a half, and I had to have like 6 or 7 weeks of radiation, and radiation was every day for 7 weeks.
Wow.
And the radiation was like really not a big deal. It happened, you'd lay down, they'd strap you in, they'd run out of the room so you know how serious the radiation was. But it would take about 35 seconds, you would get up and you would leave.
Okay.
But the treatment, the treatments, they were a little bit rough, but not to the point that I would stop. I would have, periods when I would say, I just can't do this, or I'm not going to make it, but I just kept forging through. I couldn't eat because I couldn't taste my food. My taste buds had gone away, so I had lost a lot of weight where most people gain weight. And so I was really looking sickly, like, no eyelashes, no hair on your head, and then super thin. So I was looking like an alien. When I looked in the mirror, I couldn't even see my soul. They say that your soul, you can look through your eyes and see your soul. And I had lost all of that. I couldn't see any of that. But then the renewal period came through, and it made me think about Job, that everything that he had lost had come back. He had received everything back again. And it was his unwavering faith, and that's what I had. I had faith that it was not my time, that there was something else for me to do.
That's
and so
wonderful.
I forged forward, and, at the end of my treatment, I got new skin, new hair, new cells. I got a new son. My son was incarcerated. He enrolled in school. He was on the dean's list for one period until he got a C in a class, but he was the son that I was always supposed to have. So he learned, he grew, and he was a new son, so to speak. So I don't mind. I didn't mind being Job at this point because I knew that there was a renewal, and I embraced the renewal. And through the renewal, my foundation took a change. I decided I was not supposed to get breast cancer, so there are more women out there like me, African American women especially, that don't know how prevalent it is. And God doesn't give us the spirit of fear, but you need to really be afraid because breast cancer is so prevalent. And a lot of times people may have the disease, but they don't speak or talk about it. So I found myself being transparent because I didn't know where my help was going to come from. So I wanted everybody to know I have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was a healthy African American woman, and it came from nowhere. Where did it come from? Why did I get it? Why do I have it? And instead of all the whys just being sitting and waiting for answers, I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to educate women in the community. And because I have a voice, in our community through fashion, then I decided that I would let that voice of fashion raise money for breast cancer. And so I had a fashion show. And all the models in the show were breast cancer survivors.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, because it seems like that showed more of your mentorship, and you're saying your voice, so you spread the word, you let it be known. Another thing I like about that was the fact that you stood your ground of helping others and helping them be awakened, in the sense of saying they couldn't be me. Well, saying how you never know it's going to be smack you in the face, and you're like, oh my goodness, why me? I like the way you said you didn't have to be that way, and you spoke out. So that's a very good push of encouragement and be showing mentorship. And one thing I like the fact that with the fashion shows, not only were you able to raise money for breast cancer, but the women that were the models, they were survivors, or maybe still been going through it or whatever, but they felt strong enough to say, I want to be part of this. I want to speak my word. And I think that is fantastic when it comes to that, because we do need more outgoing or people to come out and speak about things and get things out and let it be known, because I believe in promoting health education in whatever form I can do when I do workshops and things like that. And that's how I got involved with the Doty Foundation, because he saw me as a speaker doing all these different things on hepatitis or HIV, and I just kept pushing. But I just do it on multiple topics, and it's really important to promote health education wherever it can be done and given, so our communities can learn and grow and get feedback to help themselves.
Right. I believe that that I was saved, and so of course it was my duty to help to come back
I like
to
that.
save others. And I want to say that, you know, in those waking hours when you're quiet or you're praying, that I must have said, you know, yes, because I had some adversities, but all the adversities that like broke me down or made me want to cry and pull my hair out were the things that people asked me to come and speak or talk about now. The fact that I, you know, was a teen mom. I never thought that when I was crying at night at 15 years old because, you know, I had disappointed everybody, that some, you know, years later that I would be encouraging somebody because of the fact that I was a teen mom. So I have to say that, you know, that adversity was something that I took, and it was able to, you know, be a stepping stone for something today. And had I had not been a breast cancer survivor, I'm not sure that I would be out fighting for breast cancer. I would, you know, I would definitely like champion it, but I don't know if I'd be fighting it in the trenches the way I am now. So sometimes we have to be put in a real uncomfortable situation. You don't like anything about it. You don't even want to be here. But I believe that it's a testament to your character and to who you are and how you were raised on what you do with that adversity when it comes your way.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I can see that because I'm just listening to your story, and I'm thinking about my own personal story. Like, man, you know, I better stay on my step. Just keep going, keep pressing, because I have my issues of going through things, and I'm like, wow. Don't you dare fall. You fall, you get back up.
That's
Come
right.
on.
That's
So,
right.
so
You got
I'm
a few
telling
scars
myself,
on you, you put a Band-Aid on it, and then you keep going. You just keep going.
you are my mentor today. I just want to say thank you, because I just feel it. I really feel it. I've been pressing for it, and I really know things are going to work out, because I've had a recent situation that's been kind of making me feel like a little low, and I'm saying, nope, I got to keep pressing.
You do.
Keep
you
going.
have to keep. You just have to say yes to whatever situation, you know, that you're put into that's uncomfortable, because we never know, you know, how it's going to turn out for us if we stay the course and be steadfast with it. There's, you know, that light at the end of the tunnel may not be the train, but it just may truly be some light at the end of the tunnel to give you some inspiration. And I know that I'm a now 8.5-year breast cancer survivor.
Wonderful.
And 8.5 years ago, Chicago, it was really bad for us in terms of the death rate for African American and Latino women dying. Yeah, more white women do get breast cancer, but guess what? More black women die from breast cancer. 1 out of 8 women will be diagnosed with it, and they'll die. But today, I'm so happy to say, this is information that I learned, that right now Chicago is #1 with changing that disparity.
Wonderful.
For African American
Wonderful.
Latino women dying early. We are like #1 on growth for breast cancer health and awareness, and living a longer life. So that's like something amazing to know. And you know, it's really important that you get a mammogram.
Yes.
That's saying that, you know, early detection is key. It's not just a cute saying. It really means something, that if you do, you know, get tested early enough, then this does not have to be, you know, the end for you. The early treatment is the key. And even if you don't have insurance or you're underinsured, there are so many places. And one is the Breast Cancer Task Force. They can give you a voucher to receive a mammogram in some of the premier hospitals here in the city of Chicago. And so there's no reason that right now that anybody who's sitting, listening, or who's in this room, if you have not had a mammogram this year, then you need to be walking someplace to get one right now, because in the past week I've received 4 phone calls from people I have no idea who they are. They were referred to me from somebody who knew that I was a survivor and said, well, ask Barbara, maybe she can help you. And I don't have all the statistics or all the information, but I have resources. And one of those resources is, you know, the Breast Cancer Task Force, which will definitely help you to get a mammogram. A lot of times people say, it's so much red tape trying to get a mammogram, I can't get in. Then you need to call this task force center, and I'm sure that they will be instrumental in getting you in whether you have insurance or not. So it's so important. You have got to get a mammogram. And they say over age 40. Now, I'm just going to let you know that I sat in a room with young people in their 20s and 30s receiving my chemo treatment. And so I don't know about waiting until after you're 40 years old to get a mammogram.
No,
you may want to
wouldn't
do some
suggest
self-exams.
that. Exactly.
And you may want to look around at your family and see how if there are members that are close in your siblings that have passed, take a BRCA exam, which is a gene test that will let you know if you're disposed to that. So it's being proactive.
Right, because there was a lot of questions that's been mentioned before. Like I know I've had people, as me being a nurse, and I've worked with a lot of cases, and they were saying, if I get cancer, will I pass it on to my daughter? Or if my mom had cancer, will I get it? And it's true enough, a lot of times it's not all the time in the genetics, but it's still a possibility of it being the genetic passed down, but it's not definite. The thing is, and it's like you said, waiting to 40, I think is really too late, because you look at how many children are actually with cancer now, and for one, and these are children, and they're going through so many things. So I figure one thing, really young youth, actually I'm gonna say in the 20s, 18 and up, you can really start getting tested, because your body's changing. And the way so many chemicals out there in this world and things, and so many changes, that it's still very important to get tested. Those mammograms are important to get done on a yearly basis. And like one thing I've known, even in the medical field, a lot of times the physicians will say, if cancer runs in your family in any type of format, they suggest you to get those tests even more compared to someone that doesn't have cancer in their family at all. So things like that are also similar to those situations. And I think it's really important that we get more information out to the communities, and especially, like you said, more black women were dying of cancer back in the day compared to now, because they were not getting tested.
Right.
They could not get the testing, the exams, they couldn't afford it, and insurance things were cutting in on a lot of issues. So
and we have to tell the truth too. Sometimes we get caught up in our own world. We're doing something for everybody else except ourselves.
You said that.
I know. Sometimes, like in the Latin community, they believe they believe that even in the African American community, God is going to save me. I'm not going to go and have all that stuff put into my body, into my system. And I believe He's going to save you because He's put technology here. He's put somebody in your space to lead you to the right place to go get medical treatment, that He's put on this earth for you to cure you of what you have. Or sometimes, oh, I don't want to go get a mammogram. It hurts. No, I'll tell you what hurts. When the doctor tells you have breast cancer, it's metastasizing, there's nothing that we can do for you. So sometimes we just have to get up and go take care of ourselves. It's nice to have your nails done and get your eyebrows arched and all that good stuff, but there's nothing wrong with going and taking care of your health so that you can be here for your family, so that you can be here for you.
Yes, for you, your family, and it will all pay off in the end of saying, because you will never know how much you are appreciated. And don't realize it when you hear, sometimes we sort of just press it off. And then when you find yourself going, or you feeling yourself down, you look and you're like, what in the world is going on? And where is all the support that I thought I had? Things like that. I know what you're saying. So those things are very important. I'm surprised we haven't had any callers this evening. If we have any callers, then call 312-738-1060. If you have any questions, we're welcoming callers whenever you want to call in. And I really have found this information to be very supportive and encouraging. Because like I said, even some of the questions that have been asked to me about, people was asking about understanding what lymph nodes was when they would do the breast check, and they didn't understand. They would say, I just feel a knot, but they say that's just a lactating duct or whatever if I'm pregnant, or things like that. But the thing is, if you get it checked, you'll know for sure whether if it was a lactating duct or if it was a lymph node or something. And a lot of people don't know what those things actually are that's in our breasts and what they're doing. But the lymph nodes themselves are actually cells that cleanse our system, and actually through the circulating and things to keep us clean and help the blood flow through our bodies and help cleanse us.
So normally, for me, once they did a biopsy on the lump in my breast, then the very next thing they did, and all of this they did the same day, is that they actually went under my arms and they test the lymph nodes just to see if any of the lymph nodes are cancerous. Because if the lymph nodes are cancerous, then there's a possibility that then it's traveling. It allows them to travel to other parts of your body. So that's all of those things are important when you're going and getting tested. You want to go to a hospital who has all of the right equipment and they're very knowledgeable about how to to test you.
Okay. Well, I know we have to sort of wrap up now, but we want to thank everyone for viewing and participating in our show today. Ms. Bates, I want to say thank you so much for your mentorship, your encouragement, and your strength, and definitely coming on the show and sharing your story and your mentorship, because I think it was just totally fantastic. And I look forward to even attending some of your shows that I can come and still help support breast cancer as well myself. Because I do it yearly with being a nurse, doing things at work, whatever, and spreading the word. I haven't done the Avon walk yet, but one day I may will.
There is a Barbara Bates walk. And
there's a Barbara Bates?
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
Barbara Bates walk. And our funds that we've done the walk for 4 years, and we've raised funds for Sinai Hospital over on the west side. So
That's
that
right.
walk will be again on 8/18/18
fantastic.
next year. So come join us at the Sinai walk.
Okay, well, for more information, you can look into that. Actually, I want to share, you can definitely call our number. I'm going to show you a little overhead of information where you can call us and get more information on the walks or any things that we do for our program. And then that way you can call this number, the Doty Report, and get information, and we can share the information to promote the walk. But we can't do it here on the show right now. And we thank you so very much for coming. And I believe this, let's see if they see, that is pretty much it for today. And I want to say thank you so very much
My pleasure.
for coming.
My pleasure.
And everyone have a good evening.